70. A cunning beauty beyond compare. Only a more miserable death awaits. The news strikes suddenly. Dian Huan is dead. Upon hearing this, Shen Lang is taken aback. Could it really be true? Kim Hui confirms that he saw Dian Huan with his own eyes. The man's aura, martial arts energy, and appearance all unmistakably match. But Shen Lang isn't convinced. He immediately seeks out Dian 13, who's busy documenting Dian Huang's crimes, murder after murder, each with solid evidence and traceable bodies. Top Tom is willing to bear any consequence if it means protecting his family. But Shen Lang stops him. Dian Huang is already dead. Top Tom is shocked and asks if Liu Voanyam or Zhang Tan killed him, but Shen Lang shakes his head. He suspects a decoy. Dian 13, who once was closest to Dian Huang, insists he never heard of such a body double. Shen Lang reflects. Only the most powerful elites could afford true decoys, and Dian Huang isn't one of them. Even his father-in-law lacks such resources. Something doesn't add up. Back home, Shen Lang broods, unusually quiet. His wife Mulan notices his mood shift and teases him. This is supposed to be good news. But Shen Lang confesses that his instincts say otherwise, and as he points out, the prettier the person, the sharper the intuition. Mulan, of course, being the prime example. She tries to ignore his flattery, but finds herself slowly believing it. Shen Lang insists, Dian Huang is not dead. There's no proof, only a gut feeling, but it nags at him. Kim Hui, a meticulous and serious man, claims he saw Dian Huang stab himself, but as Shen Lang argues, that level of grief and authenticity could be faked, and Dian Huang's rank isn't high enough to possess a flawless stand-in. He continues, if I were Zhang Tan, I'd eliminate Dian Huang swiftly and in secret, especially now that Top Tom is in their hands and all of Dian Huang's crimes could be used to implicate powerful figures. Publicly executing him would risk an explosion of scandal. A fake suicide in prison would have made more sense, but this dramatic death before witnesses? Far too conspicuous. He asks Mulan to take him to the body. They rush to Huanvu City, but they are too late. The corpse has already been cremated, reduced to a blackened lump of coal. Still, Shen Lang inspects the remains using his X-ray gaze, focusing on the lungs. Previously, he had seen a silver needle embedded in Dian Huang's lung. Even burned, the needle should remain. He scans carefully, then finds it. But it's straight. The real needle had been bent due to internal pressure. Fire can't straighten a needle. A beautiful woman certainly can't. Thus, the truth becomes clear. This isn't Dian Huang's body. Shen Lang smirks. Interesting, he mutters. So Dian Huang lives. Good. He'll die by my hands instead. He turns to Mulan. Let's get ready. Tonight, the real play begins. The ending is already written. Mulan leaves in frustration, not wanting to hear more of his arrogant flirtation. Shen Lang watches her walk away, admiring the sway of her hips. Tonight's going to be exhausting for you again, my dear, but after this is over, I'll reward you properly. Meanwhile, in a secret chamber beneath Huanvu City, the real Dian Huang sits trembling with rage, clutching a wooden mask soaked in acid. Beside him is Tu Thien Thien, holding the mask. Her family, being experts in dyeing, uses acid in various processes. Even in ancient China, alchemists had learned how to produce primitive acid. Dian Huang is furious. His younger brother, his only family, his lifelong companion, has died in his place. They grew up together in a martial escort agency, relying on each other, inseparable as shadow and body. Years ago, Dian Huang betrayed his agency, killed his comrades, and fled to Vietnam with stolen treasure. Since then, both he and his brother assumed new identities. His brother never appeared in public again, thus creating the illusion of two Dian Huangs. One could die while the other lived.
But now his brother is gone. One of his 2 lives sacrificed. Tu Thien Thien says, "This will hurt, but it'll erase your face entirely." She slams the acid-soaked mask onto his face. He doesn't scream. He barely flinches. So consumed is he by hatred, the pain becomes almost a sick pleasure. Tu Thien Thien declares, "From now on, Dien Huang is dead. You are a ghost, free to act however you please." With that, she departs. Beside him, Liu Voanyam, the city lord, asks, "You're leaving now?" Grinding his teeth, Dien Huang growls, "Shen Lang made me lose my brother. When he sought revenge, he wasted no time. Why should I delay?" He leaps to his feet, eyes burning. He loves his family, doesn't he? Good. Let him feel what I feel, the pain of losing everyone. I can't wait another 15 minutes. Tonight, I'll act. He turns to Liu Voanyam. Is the scapegoat ready? Of course. Tongyi. Naturally, Tongyi, once a militia leader, had been sentenced to lifelong labor for falsely accusing Shen Lang. It would be completely plausible that he escaped and returned to slaughter Shen Lang's entire family. Liu Voanyam says, "Good luck. I'll be here warming the wine for your return." Dien Huang bows. "Then I'll go spill blood." With his disfigured face hidden beneath a mask, Dien Huang marches off, reeking of vengeance and bloodlust. His target? Shen Lang's family. Tonight, blood will rain from the sky.
Overall voice. Night fell like a shroud upon Langfeng village, Tham Lang's hometown. The entire village lay in silent slumber, unaware that death was stalking the shadows. Dien Huang, bearing no soldiers, no guards, no witnesses, only vengeance, had arrived alone. His face was scarred, corroded by acid, his expression twisted with madness and hatred. He didn't need an army, not for what he came to do. Tham Lang's family, his aging parents, and his disabled younger brother were defenseless. They lived in a small hut, nestled halfway up the mountain, isolated from the rest of the village, the perfect place to carry out a massacre unnoticed. Outside the straw-roofed cottage, Dien Huang scouted the surroundings with the precision of a beast sniffing out prey. No signs of ambush, no guards, no traps. Satisfied, he stepped forward silently. Inside the house, he detected the subtle sounds of breathing. 3 individuals. One breath was shallow, irregular, and punctuated with occasional wheezing. That had to be Tham Lang's father. Years of illness had ravaged his lungs. Dien Huang smirked. He placed a hand on the wooden door. A gentle push, and the latch crumbled noiselessly under his pressure. The door opened to reveal a dimly lit interior. The silhouettes of 3 sleeping figures stretched on their beds. The acid fumes still clung to his face, forcing tears from his eyes and clogging his nostrils. Wiping his eyes with a silk cloth, he squinted through the haze. He saw an old woman, her back slightly hunched, silver strands glinting in the faint light. Tham Lang's mother. Her life was about to end in silence. Tham Lang, he hissed, drawing a gleaming dagger from beneath his cloak. You'll regret ever opposing me. And without another word, he plunged the blade down on her neck, swift, merciless. Blood sprayed across the straw mats. The woman's head tumbled to the floor in eerie quiet. He turned to the next bed. There lay an elderly man, coughing in his sleep, unaware of the blade of death looming over him. You're the one with the sick lungs, right? Let me make breathing easier for you by cutting you in half. With a single brutal swing, Dien Huang sliced through the man's torso. The body convulsed once, then fell still, lifeless. Then came the last bed. A young man, his legs splinted with crude wooden braces, slept soundly despite his pain. This was Tham Kien, Tham Lang's younger brother, a delinquent, broken in body but still alive. Dien Huan's men had shattered his legs earlier, and now he would finish what they started. This little scum shouldn't even be worthy of being my enemy, but because of Tham Lang, here I am, wasting my hand on him. Consider it an honor. He picked up a nearby club and smashed it down on the boy's legs. The crack of bone echoed through the hut. Oddly, the boy didn't scream. His body twitched violently, but no sound came. Dien Huan scowled, then raised his dagger again, this time aiming directly at the young man's chest. With a savage thrust, he pierced the heart. The boy died instantly, without a cry. It was done. He stood among the corpses of Tham Lang's entire family, bloodied and triumphant. For a long time, he simply breathed. The air felt sweeter. The long-held grudge in his chest began to lift. In his mind, he imagined Tham Lang returning to this scene, how he would scream, collapse, lose his mind at the sight of his murdered family. Ah, vengeance, Dien Huan muttered, half laughing. What a delicious taste. But even in triumph, he was suffering. The acid had done more than scar him. It was still burning. His eyes watered constantly, his throat felt like fire, and in the dark his vision was blurred. He uncorked a flask and drank greedily, hoping to ease the pain. But the bitterness remained. Tham Lang, he whispered, even if you're in hell, I'll make you regret ever defying me. You ruined my life, destroyed my name, burned my face. But tonight, I took everything from you. He laughed, drunk on revenge. And then, light. Dozens of torches ignited around the hut like wildfire, dispelling the darkness. Dien Huan froze. A figure appeared at the door, tall and radiant, standing in silhouette like a celestial being. His hair caught the wind. His posture was proud. Though his face remained hidden in shadow, his presence was unmistakable. Tham Lang. Even turned to ash, Dien Huan would recognize him. You! Dien Huan roared in disbelief. You little bastard! I was going to find you after this, but you've come straight to me. What a fool! His voice cracked with rage and delight. Fate had delivered the final victim right to his feet. I already slaughtered your whole family, Tham Lang. You're too late. But Tham Lang stood calmly, eyes unmoved. Dien Huan, drop the act, he said. Dien Huan's smile froze. Something felt wrong. He had hidden his identity so carefully. He had even burned his twin brother's body and left a matching silver needle inside it, a needle identical to the embedded one in his own body. His twin had been a perfect substitute. But how could Tham Lang know? You used your twin brother as a decoy, burned his body, dressed him like you, even faked the needle in the corpse. But you made one mistake. Dien Huan's breath hitched. The needle inside you is slightly bent. The one in the corpse was perfectly straight. A tiny detail, but it shattered the entire illusion. Still, Dien Huan said nothing. Silence was his last defense. Oh, and one more thing, Tham Lang added, you really went all out with the acid. Even disfigured Tong Ni to make him unrecognizable. Whose idea was that? Tu Quang Duang or Tu Thien Thien? He waved his arm. From the shadows,
Tong Ni was dragged forward. His face, too, was disfigured by acid, grotesque and painful to behold. Unlike Dien Huan, he was screaming in agony, wailing for water, cursing the pain. He had been caught trying to escape, and now was a broken man. Dien Huan clenched his fists. His secrets were unraveling too fast. "Fine," he hissed, standing straight, no longer pretending. "Yes, I did it. I killed them all. And it felt good." He pointed at Tham Lang, hatred bringing in his eyes. "Cry, Tham Lang, scream! You said you loved your family, right? Well, look at them now. They're dead, all of them. You were too weak to stop it." His voice was hoarse, bloody, but Tham Lang didn't flinch. He stared at Dien Huan with a strange pity. "You fool," he said quietly. "Look closer. Do you even know who you killed?" Dien Huan blinked. Torches were thrown into the hut, illuminating the corpses he had so proudly mutilated. He stared at them, and then his face drained of color. The old woman he beheaded wasn't Tham Lang's mother. It was his own wife, a cruel and wicked woman who had manipulated and tormented others for years. She had been disguised with white hair and Tham Lang's mother's clothes. The old man he sliced in half was his own trusted steward, and the young man was his son, Dien Tang, a wastrel, a playboy, but still his blood. "No! No! No!" His screams were animalistic, a howling sorrow that tore through the night like thunder. This was no longer vengeance. It was divine retribution. His hand had delivered death to his own family, his son, his wife, his closest servant. He had walked into hell with pride and realized only too late that he was its prisoner. A true tragedy of his own making. Who in this world could be more pitiful than him now?
72. Shen Lang's vicious counterattack. Blood everywhere. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the dark mountain night. Dien Huang stared at the corpses on the floor, his wife, his son, his loyal steward, and felt as though his soul had been torn apart. His voice was hoarse, and his eyes, filled with madness and disbelief, nearly burst from his skull. He looked at Shen Lang and shouted, "No! You tricked me! You bastard! You tricked me!" But Shen Lang's expression remained indifferent, as cold as the wind rustling the trees. "Dien Huang, I warned you not to cross me. Now, you've destroyed everything you had with your own hands." Ah! Dien Huang clutched his head, spinning around like a madman. The image of his wife's severed head, his son's broken limbs, and the deep pools of blood were seared into his mind. The powerful and arrogant lord of the city was now a broken man. The pain of losing everything in an instant turned him into a wailing beast. And that was exactly what Shen Lang wanted. A man like Dien Huang, proud and ruthless, would rather die than live in such humiliation. But Shen Lang wouldn't let him die just yet. "You think you've suffered enough?" Shen Lang stepped forward, his boots crunching on the blood-stained floor. Dien Huang turned toward him, eyes red and wild. "I'll kill you! I'll rip you apart!" He lunged forward, pulling a hidden dagger from his sleeve. But Shen Lang was ready. With a swift step, he dodged the strike, grabbed Dien Huang's wrist, twisted it, and slammed him onto the floor. Crack! The sound of bones snapping echoed like a whip. Ah! Dian Huang screamed again, his arm dislocated. Shen Lang didn't stop there. He stepped on Dian Huang's back, pressing him to the ground, and leaned close to his ear. Do you feel it now? The despair? The helplessness? That's what you wanted me to feel when you came to kill my family. Blood dripped from Dian Huang's mouth as he writhed under the pressure. I'm going to kill you, he whispered. Shen Lang stood up slowly. No, you're going to live. Live and suffer. A group of Shen Lang's loyal fighters rushed in. They were all covered in black, their eyes fierce. Bind him, Shen Lang ordered. Yes, sir. Chains were wrapped around Dian Huang's limbs. His pride, his strength, his status, everything had been stripped away. Outside the wooden house, villagers began to gather, awakened by the noise. They gasped as they saw the once mighty Dian Huang lying bloody and broken in the dirt. That's Dian Huang? He looks like a corpse. Shen Lang really destroyed him. Whispers spread like wildfire. Shen Lang stepped out and looked at the people of the village. Dian Huang came to kill my entire family tonight. But heaven has eyes. His sins have come full circle. He pointed to the corpses behind him. These were his wife, his son, his steward. He killed them with his own hands. Gasps erupted. Even the bravest among them felt a chill down their spine. This, Shen Lang continued, is what happens when evil grows unchecked. He turned to Dian Huang, who lay in the dirt, moaning in agony. From this moment, Dian Huang is no longer a nobleman, no longer a lord. He is a prisoner, and his punishment has just begun. One of Shen Lang's men approached. Sir, should we finish him? Shen Lang shook his head. No, that would be mercy. He looked at Dian Huang and said coldly, You took so many innocent lives, shattered so many families. You don't deserve a quick death. You'll live and witness your own ruin, day by day. A torch was thrown into the house. Flames began to spread. Dian Huang's home, the place where he had lived in power and arrogance, was now burning to ashes, just like his pride. Shen Lang didn't flinch. He turned and walked into the night, his figure tall and unwavering, lit by the glow of justice and vengeance. Behind him, Dian Huang's screams blended with the crackling fire. The night was no longer silent. It was filled with justice and blood.